Hello guys and dolls, welcome back to my channel. So today I am trying a new angle. Hopefully it works and I look better. I readjusted my lights and I am actually going to be doing something pretty fun today. So I have it back here. So today I am actually doing a tag. And I know there aren't a lot of you out there, but you guys that are here are really important to me, and I actually have been watching so many Paranormal Kativity videos. I'll link some of her stuff below, especially her tag, but today we are going to be doing the Scariest Things Tag. Now, I have my little notebook here, so I'm going to be looking down occasionally so that I can see these questions. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I'm going to be talking about a lot more paranormal videos and activities and stuff in the next coming months. And even just in general on my channel, because I always tend to find paranormal stuff, and I kind of am attracted to it, or it's attracted to me. So we're gonna do a lot more of that on my channel now. The first question that they ask is scariest real life experience. So right off the top of my head, my scariest real life experience would probably have to be and I don't think this is paranormal, but my bouts with sleep paralysis. So sleep paralysis is something where you're asleep and your mind wakes up, but your body is not awake yet. And so basically I've had this since I was really young, and sleep paralysis is kind of like a really scary thing, and I've just always felt like it was something that's not necessarily attached to me, but attached to my person. So like mentally, it's always happened. Sleep paralysis for me typically involves a couple of different figures. When I am going through it, I do see a couple of different figures. One being the Hat Man, or the top hat guy. A lot of people, when they talk about their sleep paralysis experience, it's in that. So basically it's a large gentleman figure, or larger figure. He's typically wearing a hat, and he has no discernible figures or features besides just his outline, and he's all black. Now, what's funny is since I moved in with Michael, we keep the TV on and the fan on. Now, there is no sound to him. He does not make noise. But what I tend to see, because I've always slept with my door closed because of this. So when it first started, I would see the figures in the doorway. And so I got really scared, and because there was always light in my house, we always had night lights and stuff like that for me, but I would always close my door, and for the longest time I would even lock it. Got older, I was like, no, it's just something that I think about, just don't lock the door anymore. So I sleep with the door closed now, but I don't lock it. And basically it started off with it just in the doorway, and then when I close my door, it kind of, you can see it morph through the door, like it's walking through the door almost. The figure I see a lot is the woman. And the woman scares me the most. I don't think it's paranormal anymore because I've seen her too much. If you've seen the movie Mama or Crimson Peak, you will know that the women, the female spirits, are very tall, very lanky. They have wispy hair that flows out. That's a lot like what I see with the woman, except she is very dark. She's a dark figure, no discernible features, and she comes right up to me and sits on my chest, or she puts her hands out to my throat. Now, this is also called the old Hag Syndrome, for most people, but I don't ever hear of them describing a creature like Mama almost, you know what I mean? Alright, so the next one is Scariest Paranormal Experience. So my scariest paranormal experience had to be why I have my ghost today. And I did talk about this in my last paranormal video, but I will rehash it a little bit. Basically, when I was working at Penhurst in Pennsylvania as an actor, I was down in the tunnels taking over for a girl one night, and I don't know if y'all can see, but back there by the candles, I had a display case that I actually shattered, and it's still sitting back there, and a piece of glass just fell and it scared the living shit out of me. So it was a really slow night, and from behind me, where the next room was, I felt a large tug on the back of my shirt. I was told by the actress that it was the child spirit down in the tunnel, and that they also saw that same, or felt that same type of spirit underneath the gurney that was actually right beside me. Next, have you ever known anyone convicted of a violent crime? No. So, just like Paranormal Kativity, the channel, and Kat, just like she said, she's always been obsessed with serial killers, and I am the same. And I actually have some literature here that I got not too long ago on serial killers. Time Life brought out this magazine, I think it was earlier this month, and pretty much it is just, it has Manson on the cover, and then on the back it has a couple of other ones, like Heaven's Gate, and there's a couple on. So you can look at some of these pages. Let's see, full color photos, black and white photos. You can basically see like all of the stuff in here. So this is such a good book. If you are into serial killers like me, I'm sure you can find it online, or I got it at Target for $11.99, and it says to display until 4/20/18. So you may still have time to pick this up. If not, then just grab them online. I'm sure you could still order that. But you know, that's the answer to my question. Number 3, no, I've never known anybody convicted, but I read. Number 4, are you scared of the dark? Yes. I think ingrained in everybody, we are all a little scared of the dark. And that just goes back for like the cave era times when creatures prowled in the dark and they didn't have protection like we do now. Also, a lot of scary things happen in the dark. I don't know if you remember or if you know. This reroutes back to number 1. In my sleep paralysis, I am always pretty scared of the dark. I don't like living alone because of this. And also, it's just, you can't, your senses play tricks on you in the dark, and I just would rather sleep with a light on or sleep with the TV and background noise so that I don't have to know that it's dark or that it's nighttime, and that just kind of helps me. But yes, I am pretty afraid of the dark. Okay, so the next question is, do you have any hometown legends? So yeah, I grew up in a place called Coatesville, Pennsylvania. It's a pretty smaller town, about half an hour from Westchester, if you know it, or Exton, Pennsylvania, is a place called the Stottsville Inn. Now, I had a best friend who lived right up on the hills, right beside the Stottsville Inn, and we would always talk about like the ghost stories and the legends, and which is pretty cool. And I never did any research on it until not too long ago when I was researching for this video. So I always heard that there was a woman that, you know, goes around and opens and closes doors, but I never knew that there was a little bit of history. So I think I'm going to cover it really quick. Sorry if I'm looking down, it's because I have my book here. And it was burned down, and then it was rebuilt by David Scott. Now, Scott had a female relative called Josephine Scott Chandler, and she was legend, like, has it said that she died around 1893. So supposedly her husband Horace had caught her being unfaithful in the inn with another man, and he killed her. He killed himself. And I never saw, because I was so scared to go in, I never saw the suicide note for him, but they have it framed and put up on the wall, which is whatever. Horace had written a suicide note and left it in the inn, and it supposedly said, "I love, love, love you. You are the dream of my life. Come with me to the shoe store, and I will make love to you. Love, Horace." And then he went on to say, "P.S. I can't live without you, so I will commit suicide in the barn. I will bite a cow's leg, and he will kick me in the head and kill me, for without you, life is nothing." That's so romantic. Like, as a kid, we just kind of were like, oh my god, you know, whispers about it. There is Paranormal Activity, supposedly said to happen on the 3rd floor, which is about a floor above, 2 floors above the actual restaurant. Say that there are a lot of slamming doors, opening doors, and that the people that are staying in the 3rd floor heard a long time ago when I was younger that there was somebody that passed in a fire, I think in the fire that brought down the building. I think that there was also somebody, a small child or something like that, that also haunted the building. What is your favorite urban legend in general? Now, I know I just talked about the Stottsville Inn, but there was another one that I often told when I was younger. Basically, it was, I don't know where it was from, but basically it was a babysitter was babysitting 2 young kids for a couple of parents. After the kids go to bed, I'm sure you probably know this, after the kids go to bed, she starts to get really weirded out by this clown statue they had in the corner of the bedroom. And it progressively gets creepier and creepier for her until she couldn't take it anymore. And she texted the parents and said, "Hey, if I fall asleep, I just wanted to let you know that I'm going to cover your clown statue. It's not that I don't like it, it's just I don't feel comfortable with it. You know, I'm just freaked out." And the parents said, "What clown statue?" And she said, "The clown statue in your room." And they were like, "Take the kids and get out because we don't have a clown statue." And last but not least is your worst nightmare. My worst nightmare had to have been, and I mentioned this in another video about the trunk that I had purchased. I had this dream that it was just like a regular night, and Michael and I and the puppy were sitting on the couch, and Michael got up to get a drink or something like that, and I had this overwhelming urge to strangle the dog. What I did in the dream was I looked over at her, and I can remember this to this day because it still freaks me out. I looked over at her, and she looked up at me, and I just... and Michael had to pull me away. I knew that I had to get rid of the trunk because it had given me progressively worse dreams through that week that we had it, and I think that was like the breaking point. When it comes to when it puts you in the position that you're hurting something that you love, you just can't have it in your life anymore, can't have it in your home anymore. Alright guys, so I hope that you enjoyed this scariest tag, and I know I really enjoyed making it, so if you like it as well, please leave it down in the like box below, or you can just thumbs down it, whatever you feel like. Make sure to check out her video, and also don't forget to like and subscribe, and come back for a new video next week. Alright, bye guys.